Welcome to another day in the Matrix. This is a Red Pill podcast number 62. I hope you're having a beautiful weekend wherever you are. If it's the morning time, go ahead, grab yourself a cup of coffee or tea. If it's the nighttime wherever you are, go ahead, grab yourself a glass of wine or a beer or a beverage of your choice. I myself have some really tasty coffee from a coffee roaster in Brooklyn, New York called Say. I believe I spoke about them on this week's live stream actually, but I've been enjoying this Colombian coffee from them. Absolutely delicious. So, also, before we get going into the charts and going over some dates, if you are new here and you have yet to get into our Discord server, just go ahead and send me a message on Patreon with your Discord username and the last 4 digits after your username. Please don't email me or comment in this post. I won't be able to get you into our Discord that way. Again, all you have to do is just follow the directions in the description box of this post and send me a message on Patreon and I'll be able to help you out with that. So, week 9 in a row of Bitcoin having red candle closes on the weekly. Definitely a historic moment for cryptocurrency and for Bitcoin being around for around 12 years, 13 years now. This is definitely a significant change of character. And we've seen a couple of new things happen in this cycle thus far. So we're going to be breaking down a lot, but this week we're actually seeing a little bit of a green candle. So we do have about 7-8 more hours to go before the weekly close comes in on the charts. So we'll see what Bitcoin will do. I do know that the CME, the Chicago Mercantile Exchange, closed around the price that Bitcoin's trading at right now. And due to the lack of volume and just how boring it is because most retail has left and there's no institutional player over the weekend, we're probably just going to be chopping sideways until Chicago Mercantile Exchange opens later today. And that's one of the big advantages around me releasing these Red Pill episodes during a Sunday before CME opens, because it gives me a very calm environment to be able to showcase any analysis that I have and to be able to wrap up what has happened in the market over the week pretty much at the best time, which is right before we hit some volatility and then also before the markets open up on Monday for the traditional, the indices, the stock market, Forex, etc. So again, I hope you're having a beautiful week. It is nice and sunny where I am, so the moment I wrap this up, I'm probably gonna chill outside, eat some black grapes, maybe work on some music and try to relax a little bit, because I've been putting in a lot of hours, especially since I started getting really focused on the expansion mastermind that I've been working on. I've been bringing that up to you guys lately just because every live stream that I do on Fridays, I'm getting so many thought-provoking pieces of, just it's the questions and the repetitive questions that I've been receiving that is making me just so excited to get all this material packaged together to be able to deliver it. So I'm grateful for this community and how enlightened everyone is, because it allows me to have, a really good idea of what people are seeking at this time. And this isn't for the masses. We're aware by now that my channel isn't really going to be accepted by the average person, and that's completely fine. Although some might be in the process of converting over to learning the truth about what's happening on the world stage, and that's not anything I desire, actually. But with that being said, it's just beautiful to see that there's such an enlightened community right now that's coming together, and it's also amazing to see what's happening with Logan's community and Jason over at Archaics and Donut Factory, and I'm just really grateful to be able to be a part of all of this. And for you guys, the Wolves, sending you all so much love and gratitude. It's really inspiring me, actually. So the content, I don't even want to call it content, the art that I've been designing in the background has been elevating more and more and more with the more sophisticated you guys get, and the more deeper the gnosis becomes from the individuals in the community. So it is inspiring me quite a bit as an artist. So again, super grateful for you guys and the questions you ask and what you're interested in learning about, because it really pushes me to things that I'm already passionate of. But Anyways, with that being said, let's dive into some of the dates that we have coming up, because we do have a little bit of a chill week, in my opinion, upcoming. I don't expect anything wild to be going on. Let me go to the date calendar. I did bring up a couple things in my last video, so I'll reiterate some of them, but just get the most common one out of the way, which is tomorrow, June 6th. Again, this being the 6-6, and then the 2-2-2 adds up to 6. So some people are assuming something might happen on Monday, tomorrow, because it's the 6-6-6. And just so you know, it's not really that. Actually, the real month of June is the third month in the calendar, the real calendar. This June being 6th month is completely make-believe on the Gregorian system, which we've been talking about for quite a bit. For instance, September, or sept, should be 7, not 9. So, yeah. But just to move past some of this, I don't really see too much happening on June 6th. The only things that I could really point out is this 18 in the date numerology. Again, we know that 18 shows up in Shemitah, in Chaldean, and this whole year has been coming back to this and coming back to Platinum Jubilee. So Platinum Jubilee had a banking holiday last week on the 2nd, I believe, which was funny because the start of Platinum Jubilee was the 6th of February. So it was written like this, Feb being the 2nd month and the 6th day being the start of Platinum Jubilee. And then, of course, the banking holiday, or the ceremony of it, was on June being the 6th month, the 2nd day. So the 6-2-2-6. I think that's pretty interesting. But anywho, those royals, they're not operating on the same calendar as we are. They're operating on a different calendar. Now, one of the things we did bring up about Platinum Jubilee was this connection to the 55 right there in Chaldean. And of course, you see Platinum Jubilee has 62, like June 2nd. But anyways, what's important about the word Platinum Jubilee, and I've been talking about this for a while now, actually. So if you're new to this channel, and you've joined Patreon recently, you might be unaware of this 55 connection coming back to Satoshi Nakamoto. And then we also had a couple other things that we were talking about earlier in the year, back at the start of the Year of the Tiger. So just to keep this streamlined and on point, this 55 connection is important moving into the day after, the 7th of June. And I didn't have just this one connection. I had the bigger connection here, which was the date of June 7th matching up to September 26, 2022, which will be the end of Shemitah. And the reason why this matters is because this amount of dates between is 111 days. And I showed you in my last YouTube video the significance of the 111 and where it all tied into the charts, what happened with Bitcoin last May. On May 19th, there was a huge, basically, capitulation moment in Bitcoin and the cryptocurrency market. And we saw that date was exactly 111 days before the start of Shemitah. So that was September 7th of 2021. And if you took those two dates, May 19th to September 7th, you get 111 days. So I'm just doing it now based off of this upcoming Rosh Hashanah, and that will be June 7th, okay? Now, this is really important because we have two major numbers on this date. Not only is that 111, actually, we'll call it three big numbers, but we know of the 111. We know of that 55 tying to Platinum Jubilee, but then we also have this 19. And we know the whole world has changed since the start of the C word 19. That's a big one. It also connects back to Ra, the sun god. And if you wanted to get even deeper, you can go into the periodic table and you have radium. And there's another actual element, and it's the Eye of Ra. And I should be able to find it maybe a little bit later if I could remember, but it's definitely interesting. I think it's called antimony. Let me try to quickly pick it up for you guys. I love looking at the periodic table. I've learned so much through it. It's really new to me, and I've just been starting to find some deeper connections into where it all ties into my work, but I was probably better off just searching antimony, actually. There you go. So it's the 51st element. Okay, that's really, really important actually, because we know that this 51 number has been playing a huge role in the world stage. Actually, if you go back to my mastermind course when I released it, um, one of the early videos I made, probably around like May of 2020. Yeah, okay, so about 1 year ago, I was talking about the 51 and 15 quite a bit. And then I've noticed that ever since the start of this year, we've been seeing Donut Factory talk about it quite a bit. And his channel is massive. You know, he has much more followers than I have. So his audience probably hears about that 51 quite often. And the mirror of the 51 is the 15, and that 15 again ties back into Tiger because we're in the year of the Tiger. But antimony is the eye of Ra, and that was that bigger connection coming back to the 19. And I'm so fascinated in including the periodic table as part of my work. And shout out to Logan over at Decode Your Reality for that. You know, it's been really a helpful aspect of the market. So let's get back to things. We just have three big connections to all of this June 7th date. We have the 111. We saw that happen last year with the 111 connection to Rosh Hashanah. So this is a very specific connection. All right. And then we have that 55 again tying back into Platinum Jubilee. And then, of course, we have what I just discussed with that 19 tying back to Ra. And it's just the big number on the world stage. We know A and I. A is the first letter and I is the ninth letter. So 19 can be perceived as AI, or artificial intelligence. And we know the world is headed in that direction with metaverse and virtual reality and all the other things that are to come on the quantum system. Let me just move on. So now that we are aware of this, I already went over this date. Let me give you guys a new date that I think will have some significance. And I believe you guys, fellow decoders out there, are going to have fun with this one. So this is going to be Wednesday, June 15th. And this is going to be big, in my opinion, just because of this bigger connection to the 103 and the exact date that it's on. So if you're brand new to my work, you probably have just started to see me utilize the names of the mythologies. So one of the big ones, and you know, of course, NASA calls them planets, but that's all make-believe anyways. So Mercury gives us that 103, and this will be 103 days apart. Why this matters so much is because Wednesday is miércoles, which is Mercury, the day of Mercury. All right. So that 103 connection happens in two forms, not only in the Gematria, but also coming back to the name of the day and the amount of time between that day and the end of Shemitah being the 103 days. This is pretty significant. Again, we also have that 18 connection and that 63 if you wanted to play around a little bit more with some of the numbers that we were talking about before. But now this is where it gets really, really interesting, okay? So I'm actually going to type in this transition date. So June 15th is the transition date into the 16th, obviously. Let me show you why this matters so much. We're going to go back to last Rosh Hashanah in 2021, and you're going to see a major connection here between September 7th, 2021 and June 16th of this year, which will be like in 11 days. It will be 9 months and 9 days. And why that matters so much is because Thursday is the date of this specific date. Thursday is Thor's day, or the day of Jupiter. And Jupiter gives you that 99 in English ordinal, just like these two dates are going to be 9 months and 9 days apart. And when we're in the year of Shemitah, it's not only about Saturn, right? When I did my Shemitah Decoded video, I showed you guys how Saturn ties to Shemitah. It's the sabbatical year, just like Saturday is the Sabbath day. Well, we have a 7-year cycle, and this Jupiter is the son of Kronos, the son of Saturn, Zeus. That's Jupiter. It's pretty important stuff. And when you get into the deep work of Vibes of Cosmos, you'll see something amazing about the holography, about this like holographic toroidal field optical illusion that we have of what planets actually are, the luminaries, as I like to call them. So not only will I get deeper into mythology and the connections to cosmology and astrology and etc., but I want to tie it all in to have it have utility for everyone when they're analyzing what's going on here, because what we've been doing for the past almost 2 years now is showing that the coins that were invented, these top tech companies, fintech, and also the specific cryptocurrencies all tie back to a mythology. They all tie back to a specific kind of cult, if you will. And when you get into the Greco-Roman mythologies, you'll see that each of these deities, or whatever you want to call them, whether it be the Titans or the Olympians, and if you wanted to fractal it out more, they have a cult that is kind of like worshiping them. And a lot of them turn back to currency and money, like Moneta Juno. You have Mercury, which is also Hermes, which is also Thoth. And then you have Venus or Aphrodite or Apru. And you'll see that there's a currency aspect that ties back to all of them, not just Saturn and Jupiter, but it just so happens to be that Saturn and Jupiter are the most powerful. Jupiter is considered the king of the gods. So whenever you're hearing these famous people like Kanye West and Jay-Z and all these, whenever you hear them say Jesus, who they're really talking about is Zeus, Jesus. And that G stands for Gnosis. And he is the king to them. And that's where it goes deeper when you start getting into the Illuminati and Freemasonry. Okay? So we'll break this down a little bit more in the future, but to keep this video on track, I find this connection really amazing because we had that connection the day before tied to the end of Shemitah. And then we have this date right here, the day it transitions into, tying back to the beginning of Shemitah. And we have that 9-9. And remember that 103 connection that I made with Mercury? I was showing you Mercury equals 103 because it was 103 days between the 15th of June and the end, or the upcoming Rosh Hashanah. Now, 103 is the 27th prime number. And that matters so much because that does tie back into Jupiter. With that 27 in Chaldean. That 27 is the mirror of 72, and that's the big connection we have there with Bitcoin. And then as well, we have Bitcoin with the 23, which ties back into Mercury in the same cipher. Mercury is the god of commerce, the god of merchandise, the god of fiat money, fake money. He is the voice between the mortals and the gods. We have to deal with Mercury while we're incarnated into the physical realm. He runs the domain. The firmament domain is what Mercury runs. So that's why the Caduceus and all the symbolism of Mercury is, or Caduceus, however you want to pronounce it, doesn't really matter. But this symbolism tied to Mercury and Hermes is what runs this show, from legislature to the phony military-industrial complex to the fiat money scam through the central banking system and the Federal Reserve, to the World Health Organization and all of that nonsense that's going on that's been noticeable over the last 2 to 3 years, essentially medical martial law. That's Mercury. Mercury is the god of humans and not the god of souls. So the 33% that have souls, you don't have to worry about this guy. This guy's on your side. You don't have to worry about him. But the average person is under the cult of Mercury and they don't even know it. And they're fixated on all of these currency systems in a very lack-based format. Mercury and the inner standing of Mercury will allow you to see that money is currency. It is just energy. So what I want everyone to do is the next time you spend $1, when you spend that $1, don't look at it as you're losing that $1. Look at it as you're investing that $1. Even if you're buying food, something you can never get back, because you have an energetic connection to money now. What Mercury does is it's the conversion of money energy into physical money. When it becomes merch, when it becomes physical stuff, material. And when you do that, Mercury reigns over you and you have to deal with that. When you externalize your health into the medical system, into this nonsense that's going on right now, where we have germ theory and people actually believe in these viruses and all that stuff, that's Mercury. So we'll keep going. I don't know how spicy this can get today, but I do think that's an important thing to bring up. So that 103 being the 27th prime. One last thing that I could share for you guys for like a deeper, gnosis into the numbers, and we've done this before. Don't look down here, just look at what I'm typing. 27 can also be perceived as 2 sevens, which 2 sevens becomes the 77. Now, this 77 is massive because if we were to tie this back to the start of Rosh Hashanah, we know Sept is 7. So Shemitah started on 7/7/77, and it will end on 77 date numerology right there. So it's all about the sevens in the year of Shemitah. And I've already exposed to you guys how the distance between these two dates is 1 year and 19 days, which is the mirror of 9/11, which has everything to do with Saturn, Shemitah. The two towers were the towers of Yakin and Boaz, or the anode and cathode, and we, the people, were the electrolyte. And that's why that ritual happened at the specific time it happened on, okay? It was 2001, which is you remove those zeros, you get 21. And the transition year into Shemitah was 2021, which again is just the 21. So this was the 21 year anniversary is what we're coming up on for 9/11. I actually haven't even typed in the date numerology in a while for this specific event. It'd be interesting to see. So we know it's the 21. Oh yeah, there you go. I remember this. It was the 111 days left in the year. And remember, we were just talking about the power of that 111, right? Massive. And this was during a Shemitah year. The Shemitah time frame is when they blow the ram's horn or the shofar, and you have that 14, and that 14 ties back into ram. So we knew that was a big ritual. Actually, I believe I did decode this deeper, the shofar inside of the Shemitah decoded. So definitely go watch that if you haven't. Another thing to bring up is, remember, we were talking about Mercury and that 103 and that connection to 27. It's the 27th prime, and Jupiter is 27 in Chaldean. So I just had some fun and I typed in the Roman numeral of 27, which is XXVII, which I know equals 27, but I love how it ties back to Shemitah with that 18 in Chaldean. And one other amazing thing was Super Bowl 27 happened in 1993, which was a Shemitah year. And one amazing thing that I noticed about this was the final score between both teams. And we did this for the Los Angeles Rams and the Bengals already. So I'm just showing you guys another iteration of this to prove the power of Gematria and just decoding and how you could use it for events like this. It's not my specialty. I don't watch sports. I don't care about sports. If you like them, pay attention to what I'm showing you. So you can see the final score between both teams was 52 plus 17, which equals 69. Okay. And the teams playing were the Cowboys and the Bills. So 69, remember that? Cowboys and Bills is giving you 69. And we've already shown how this works before. But of course, this happened during a Shemitah year, which is everything about Saturn. And Saturn gives you that 69. And we know Bitcoin's all-time high is $69,000. And people were arguing with me for a long time. Well, not arguing, but attempting to prove me wrong about Satoshi being Saturn. But I mean, now that we've seen the all-time high be what it was, you can't deny it now. Like it's all by the numbers. So again, 21 million Bitcoin in supply. It's amazing to see how this all is coded in. So what's deeper here is just how that Super Bowl, final score was 69, Cowboys versus Bills, 69. It happened in a Shemitah year. What more can we say here? Shemitah equals 18 in Chaldean, just like XXVII equals 18 in Chaldean. We could also see that those Roman numerals added up to that 88, and that 88 is really powerful. The torus field is the 8, the toroidal field, and I was talking about this one time with I forgot who it was, but the National Socialist Party, they used to do the 88 as part of their logo, one of their logos that they did. And what are they called? The neo-Nazis or whatever. They wore like leather jackets with the 88 on it, and they don't even probably didn't even know what it meant. Like seriously, they probably had no idea what it meant. But this 16 reminds me of Russia, and I was watching a movie last night. I rarely watch movies, but I had some time to watch a movie that fucking blew my mind. It was called Level 16, I think. It was on. Somebody told me I needed to see it. So this movie Level 16, it exposes something so important, guys. So I'm not going to tell you what this is about, but go watch this movie if you have a chance. It is exposing one of the biggest things that no one wants to talk about. No, I mean, we're getting some big numbers that we've already spoken about today. That 27 is definitely showing up quite a bit. But the 16 and how this movie, you'll see it's actually in Russia. And that was the point. It's called Level 16. And these girls are in... They don't even know they're in Russia. They don't even know how to read. They're in a prison from birth. And it's like a facility for... Anyways, I don't want to get into it. You guys should watch it. It's amazing. Let's move on. Oh, it's also funny how we were talking about Platinum Jubilee with the 6-2 and the 2-6, and this is Red Pill Podcast 62. I just noticed that. So the big date that I wanted you guys to keep in mind was that transition of the 15th and the 16th of June. It'll be about 2 days after the full moon. So could definitely be something that will go down on that date. I'm sure it's going to be... Actually, let me just type in this to make sure you guys are seeing what I'm talking about. So, yeah, we're probably going to see something happen on this date with that Thor connecting to Thor's day or Jupiter day and that 9-9 like I showed you before. I'm excited. Anything that happens anymore, I'm just so calm and so chill however it takes place. But definitely go check out that movie Level 16. I'm gonna drink some coffee real quick. So good. So I just wanted to show you guys this chart really quickly. This is the 5-day chart. Down here I have the market cipher. We went over this last week, but one other thing to mention, which I might have brought up in my Shemitah Decoded video, which was the 1400-day cycle, and then we also spoke about the 247-day cycle in back-to-back videos. And you could see right here from this low of that bear market over to this area right here, we're looking at about 1,431 days, but just look at 287 bars to make it a little bit more simple. And then I just mapped out from this bar right here over 287 bars, which equal to weeks. And that brings us around November 12th. And November 12th is the right around that eclipse. So if you look up the eclipses in 2022, you're going to see that it's on November 7th into 8th, and it's a total lunar eclipse. And remember what happened on the last total lunar eclipse? That was when we watched Terra Luna lose 99.99% of its value. So, I'm excited. I am excited for this partial solar eclipse. That's when I think it's really going to kick off, because that's kind of like 1987 led into Black Monday. Let me look quickly at the date of the November 9th transition. Oof. So right on a Monday. Woo. Right on a Monday, man. Whoa. I just noticed something. This is the 311th day of the year. Where was that connection? It's the 26th, isn't it? Yes. Oh my God. Okay, so that June 15th date that I just brought up to you guys is 3 months and 11 days until Rosh Hashanah. And I already gave you the 103 and the 20 and all that connection. Right? But now, this date, the 7th, is the 311th day of the year. Oh my goodness. Because that 311 is important. There's a band called 311. Anyways, the 311, the 3 times 11, that's the 33. There's some more esoteric properties to it, but because that's the 711 backwards, and I've already shown you guys a couple things about the 117. I think even Bitcoin equals 117, right? Yeah, in reverse ordinal. Oh man, this is amazing. This was an amazing find. This June 15th date was fucking awesome. That was such an amazing connection, because this is right on that eclipse, the 7th of November, the 117 date. Wow. I love finding things while I'm making videos, because it's just like, this is how I love to work too. And then, yeah. Who is aware of Shemitah is aware of the most important aspect of finances, period. End of story. The fact that you guys as a community know about Shemitah, and you know about the power of these eclipses, and when they all culminate together, I mean, it gives you a piece of information about the market that people would pay millions of dollars to know this secret, in the financial world even, because there's so many talking heads in the financial world and they never talk about this cycle. And this is profound, this connection that we just found on this video by mistake. Okay, I don't want to take up too much time, but we need to take June 15th seriously. So I'm going to put June 15th in my notes right now. And then, one second, guys. Okay, this matters a lot. Back to work. All right, so this same cycle, the 1,440 day cycle, you could call it if you wanted to, just be simple, the 144, like the 144,000 chosen ones. We know there's a 1,440 day cycle from tops. It's pretty noticeable by now. There's I called it the 1,400 day cycle, because it's not exactly 1,440 days. It's something around that time frame, but it's equally as important. So it's just easier for us to remember, because a lot of people who are in the know of numerology and numbers, they remember the 144. So that connection from top to top, and again, I showed you guys from top to top, right there, from that peak to the exact all-time high, and then again from bottom to bottom, that 1,400 day cycle again. So it's not only measuring bottoms, it's measuring tops. And then that gives me around November to say that that'll probably be our bottom. And where we're going to come in at is kind of interesting, because we've yet to back test an all-time high from a prior cycle ever. That was your peak. We never back tested that high ever again. Here was your peak. We never back tested that high ever again. Here's the peak. We have yet to backtest that high ever again. So I'm not completely compelled to admit that I believe that we're going to see a $20,000 Bitcoin or lower. Not because it's my opinion, but because that's TA. This asset has never done this in over a decade plus, and it has these beautiful cycles that have been repeating themselves. To the tops being exactly 1,400 day cycles, to the bottoms being the 1,400 day cycles. I mean, I just don't, I'm open-minded. And if I see Bitcoin go below 20K, you best believe I'll be buying Bitcoin and all of the altcoins. And I'm saving my, fiat on the sidelines for when that day comes, around the end of Shemitah, like I've been saying all along. I've been talking about that for a year now, pretty much. I did most of my final de-risking actually at the start of Shemitah. So, most of my bags have been converted into fiat long ago. But now I'm really planning on reaccumulating around the end of Shemitah, because that's the way the cycle works. If you see right here, this was the Shemitah year, the last one. It was the fucking bottom for Bitcoin. The whole bottom of Bitcoin in the last Shemitah, the whole bottom for Bitcoin was the last Shemitah. That whole time frame right there. It's the best time. So What's to come after that is that's a story of the future. We don't have to jump around too much to what that'll be like, and I'm not trying to give anyone hopium. I'm trying to be like zero, like just the fact that I reacted to June 15th before was probably the most emotion you've gotten out of me regarding finances, because I just try to be super chill about all this stuff. But when I find a big connection, it's obviously compelling. So I'm definitely keeping a couple of things in mind, but I just shared all of that with you guys. And then the last thing would be including the market cipher, where we can see this bottom hitting at that green dot, followed by oversold RSI on the 5-day here, bottom coming in at the oversold on the RSI, green dot on the bottom. And recently we've just gotten a green dot on the bottom. We've completed another 5-day candle. And what we're seeing here is we don't really have much of a relief until some time has passed. So this is a very, very, like, will this be the one cycle that completely just is 100% different? So far, the all-time high was 100% on board with this cycle from this peak to this peak. And so far, what makes this cycle different is it's a double top. That makes it very different. But when we're seeing the way that the market bottom came in, and that was the 247-day cycle video, so go back and watch that. When we saw this bottom come in at this exact time frame, that's been in alignment with what most other bottoms do. Okay, let me show you one last thing. From this peak down to this is around 1 year. You can see 365 days. From here to this bottom, it was 410 days. If we go from this peak right here, when Bitcoin hit the all-time high first, over to this bottom area right here, you can see it's 400 days. It's about 407 days or so, to be completely accurate. It's falling within the cycle peak to cycle low concept. I would love to know some of your guys' thoughts, by the way, because I'm not convinced about anything during a Shemitah year. I'm open-minded to anything happening. We just watched Luna pretty much go to zero, and that was like considered one of the best altcoins by the masses. And we saw, what happened to that. So anyways, really interested in this short-term TA as well. You can see that this trend line is basically just showing that we were having a resistance going back from when we broke down into this structure on daily closes on May 9th, all the way until the breakout about 20 days later. And then after we extended up, we actually have come to backtest it. And now we've been backtesting it on daily candles, daily candle closes, by the way, for about 5 days, almost 1 week straight. And now we're kind of just hanging out there in the middle of this channel. So if we had to draw a heart line of this trading range, we're perfectly at the heart line. Now, if I had to call this based on the range, well, we just go to the daily and we'll see that the range is clearly from 31.7 down to here about 28.6. So if Bitcoin starts to close daily candles below 28.6, that's when I would get a little bit worried, and I would anticipate further drop to fill this wick. I don't see Bitcoin just like dropping to fucking Narnia just yet. I could see that happening more at the end of Shemitah, but right now this structure is looking very similar to this structure, where we could be in the process of this happening, or this is the process of filling out this wick currently. Like, we're within this kind of similar idea. If we were to time this all out, by the way, which I don't love to do, but if I had to take a timeline going from about the breakdown to about this peak right here, we're looking at 114 days. So if I went from around this breakdown, 104, let's just call it 111 days, that still brings us before the end of Shemitah. Okay? So that's plenty of time to see some crazy shit like this happen. It's not my opinion. You guys remember, if you've been part of my channel now for over a year, we were very adamant that there would be some relief eventually when this was going on. And the whole market was in hysteria. They were losing their minds. They were really worried. So let's look at the new moon is August 27th of August. We could totally have relief between now and then. It's possible. We saw it happen in the past. Bitcoin losing 56% of its value and then just rallying completely off the low up in 48 days, almost 80%. And look at how this went too. If you lived through this structure, if you were actually paying attention to the charts at this time, we perfectly filled out this wick, and then we bear trapped the hell out of everyone, because no one was anticipating with this many daily closes consecutively below the structure that this would rally the way it did. And it completely just faked everyone out. And it faked everyone out to complete its cycle top of 1,440 days ish to the cycle top. So what we're seeing locally is something that could just be a back test, which will look like a rally off of the back test of prior resistance, confirming it as support, and then any daily closes above this level, that would be compelling. But I would still like to see a back test of this level here before any further movement to the upside. And then there's thin air around this. So this would be your key level of next resistance if this can be passed. So if Bitcoin can get above 32K, it pretty much has thin air up to 38K. That's a huge range for this to fill out. We get rejected like there, pull back in, and then have something like that where it gets back into the mid 40s for one last rally before moving down into the end of the run. So I'm really interested in to see how that whole setup can go, but that's one thing to take into consideration. So let's look at the weekly candle. Oof, gross. Spinning top kind of deal over here. Okay, yeah, from a candlestick analysis perspective, this looks horrible. But from a perspective of the fact that we just had 9 straight daily candles in a row, weekly candle closes in a row, anything green at this point would look better. And this was historic for Bitcoin. As I brought up in my last Red Pill podcast, this was the most red candle closes on the weekly ever in the history of Bitcoin. Something's got to give, especially RSI getting down there, down to 30. And I would assume fear and greed is probably also at record levels, which sentiment indicators do kind of matter because retail is what moves these altcoins substantially during these what are called alt seasons. The liquidity gets pushed into the altcoin at the initial stages after Bitcoin dominance tops out, but then it's all the FOMO in that pushes these coins up, that extra like 1,000 to 5,000%. One moment. So from a Bitcoin TA perspective, the range is just holding 28,500 and choppy at the 32K level. Being stuck within there is kind of that horizontal trading range we have to deal with now. And that comes up into some resistance here around 35, 36. Let's look at Bitcoin dominance really quickly. Oh yeah, 47. It's rallying. Look at that. Rallying over the 702. So if it could break this level right here, the 47, I suspect it could rally pretty much into the 618. And then after that, we have thin air into the 0.5 fib. So this might be necessary for a market retest. And look at this. Back test of the 888 fib 3 times in a row. We tracked that going back to the beginning of the year. That was a really important analysis. And it's the fib pull here in reverse. So we have from the all-time low on Bitcoin dominance back in January of 2018 to the high that we had going back at the beginning of the quote-unquote bull run of 2021. And you can see we peeled down perfectly into the 888 fib for a triple bottom. And that 888 is a level that I taught everyone. It's very unique and it's very powerful. If people wanted to add that to their fibs, you'll know why it's so powerful. And now being stuck back in around the 702 is a very typical level. So it's lower highs as of now. But all it would take is getting back above 48 into that 49 level. And then I would suspect any closures on this above this golden pocket area. And this is a bearish retrace, by the way. So this is from swing low to swing high in reverse. Once it could get over that level, 50, Bitcoin could, we could see some change of character in the market. Okay, let me get to ETH really quickly, and then you guys know the story on ETH and XRP. It's been pretty similar. Yeah, just trading around lows. I don't want to go over things that I keep reiterating. It's more about Bitcoin at this time when it comes to ETH. So this is holding structure. It's looking really nice. Thin air up to the 236. It would take Bitcoin getting relief back up to 34, 35 to see ETH come back to the 2,300 level. Until then, it's going to chop. What I do like to see, though, is the fact that we filled the wick of May 12th. Beautiful. I love to see that. So this is a complete correction, in my opinion. And now we're back at support, and this could be considered a macro double bottom. Yep, I would just call this a macro double bottom. Got the first bottom concentrated around here, second, and this was the first level after that parabola. So after going up in a straight line and getting rejected around here, we extended up to the peak, pulled back to that level I was just talking about, and recently we've returned. It's good. It's a totally normal price action. Now, we don't have a ton of chart data on ETH, unfortunately. I believe it became a coin back in 2016, 2015, so we don't have nearly as much data as we have with Bitcoin. Let's go to XRP. XRP is the same story. That 44-cent level was really important that I taught you guys a while back. I probably had this red line on my charts for a while now, and I was saying that, if we can't hold any of those levels, it's going to dump down through probably the 44-cent level, and then that 44-cent level is going to become key. And so far it has been, because that's the rejection level. Excuse me. And that red circle I drew probably 8 months ago. So we literally came back to where that red circle level was that I pulled in the beginning. Amazing. And now I have a bullish fib pull from this swing high to that swing low, because that gives me a little bit, it's a bearish fib pull. Excuse me. Let me just remove this and I'll show you guys. So now, after a complete, pull down to 83% from local high, and if we go from all-time high at around 330 down to this level, we're looking at a 90% loss. To me, this looks like an automatic rally, this level. Let me show you Wyckoff analysis by turning all this nonsense off. And I should probably do this for YouTube soon as well, because a lot of people need to learn the power of Wyckoff. And for those of you that want to learn more about Wyckoff method, my mastermind course teaches it. I also teach it a lot in my advanced trading course. But macro, this is a buying climax. This is your selling climax. This is your automatic rally. So if I was to pull a fib, I know this is going to get messy, but just look. That 208 level is right what this pulled into, right around there. So this was essentially a textbook macro automatic rally. And why this is important, guys, is this means that XRP might never go below 11 cents ever again. That might be the lowest level of all time, and it's going to be hard to determine where this could stop, because it's all about Bitcoin right now. And I understand that XRP is isolated because it has this SEC theater going on. But more importantly than that, this makes me happy because completing the automatic rally stage would retest the I'll show you guys the VPVR right here. It's probably going to be, let me zoom in a little more. I want to try to get everything outside of, wow, this is deep. That's going back to, that's around 19 cents. So I would say if XRP is going to get bloodier, the level that I would anticipate after Shemitah is around 20 cent XRP. And to be really savvy, I would say it's going to be 23 cent XRP for the year of 2023. And that 23 lining up with the Mercury idea, which will be right there, right in this cluster, which was right around the SEC dump cluster. So it's probably 23, 24 cents is what we're going to see leading into the end of 2022 into the year of 2023. Between now and then, there could totally be a rally if Bitcoin rallies and then dominance breaks down slightly and maintains. But I'm just letting you guys know, like, the super long-term play. And if, oh my God, if XRP goes back to 20 cents, I am buying the bag. I haven't bought XRP since it was below 20 cents. And my last sell for XRP was on Shemitah, the day it started, $1.40. I sold like 15 sell orders all in this little peak between the 0.5 fib and right there around 140. And I just did the 140 as a limit order because, again, XRP gives you that 14 in Gematria. So I wasn't thinking too hard. But I would love for it to, especially since it is the ISO token. And I believe somebody asked me to do a whole Red Pill podcast for ISO tokens, like to go over all of them. If you guys think that would be a good idea, I wouldn't mind. to cover all of the ISO tokens. And like even next week, I might be open-minded to doing that if you guys are interested. There's really not too much going on in the altcoin market, so I would be able to cover like 5 to 6 different altcoins. But the analysis on this is all about Bitcoin. So if Bitcoin holds its levels, this is going to hold and chop between 44 cents and probably 37. And then daily closes above 44 cents for XRP. There's thin air going up to around 52, 54 cents. So it could easily rally back into this area right here onto this trend line, which we've been respecting this trend line now for over a year. And because that trend line does sometimes get extended slightly over, we could totally hit the 236, and I would not fuck around at this 236 level. One other thing that could be happening is something like this, where it comes up to around 91, 95 cents, and then it does a short term, like an inverse head and shoulder. This would be really fucking weird, by the way. So don't think this is going to happen, but that's something that could occur, where you have like left shoulder area. We could call that left shoulder head, right shoulder. I don't particularly see that playing out, but this could be from this cycle called a spring. And we're not going to know until we see volume kick in and XRP get above the 382 fib. We can't call it a spring just yet, but based on the structure from this being the cycle all-time high, the short-term cycle, that could be another thing. I should probably just do a full-blown Wyckoff lesson on XRP. I think it would be really awesome for people, because I know there's a lot of XRP holders in here. And I myself am one. I'm over the cult of the XRP army. So whenever you hear me say anything spicy about XRP, it's because people are addicted to all this fucking theater going on with the SEC and, you know, bowing down to Brad Garlinghouse. And I just think people need to move past that type of behavior. Like, become self-empowered. Stop giving all your juice to people in government, you know? Fuck Brad Garlinghouse. He's literally a member of the World Economic Forum. Like, who cares about these individuals? They serve no purpose in your life. So don't give them your energy. It's really the whole point of what my work has been covering. So now we're getting into Decentraland. Mana. I was going to cover it last week, but I didn't really have the time, so this is a good opportunity. So this is done. Just really quickly, I'm going to show you, we have what we've been doing for most of the altcoins for the past year now. We are pulling the all-time high, or we're just going to call this the distributional top, back from April 2021 down to this swing low. So this sharp rejection right here was where the reason why I would pull fibs, you know. Let me just quickly show you. Down, you know, anything over 50% in the course of like less than 3 months, that's showing you, especially after a rally like this. Now, where this extended to, short after, all the way up to the, wow, perfectly at the 4236 fib. So this is what I teach you guys pretty often. When we break past the golden ratio, which is the 1618, we sharply move into the 4236, and that is usually it. Sometimes on the wick, we'll go up to the 6 spot fib extension, sometimes. But once we get into these levels, it's time to get out of the market. I would look to get out anything at the 3618. I wouldn't even try getting greedy, because the odds of these orders filling on wicks is very, very unlikely. And you can see how quickly a coin can move. I believe this had to deal with like metaverse partnerships. So this was like a 3-day, 500% move. Fucking crazy, straight line. Now, on the downside, the reason I know this is toasted is because after hitting this 4236 fib level, this has broke down past to retest the prior all-time high. This looked good, but that was your bull trap right there. It kept continuing lower highs, and then once it decided to finally break down from the golden pocket, it slid all the way through. Like, this is a pretty dramatic slide down. So 90% losses in short order, and I do think this will come back to its finality of its trading range, somewhere around 30 cents. So the overall move for Mana will probably be a 365-day cycle down to here, around this level right there. 95% losses, around 25 cents to 30 cents. That would be the key level, because this is a completion of a cycle. When we look off this area right there to all-time high, we're 30,000%. Come on. Like, and this reaction was pretty quick. but there's still more room to go. It could easily fill out this whole area below the 236 if it cannot hold the 236 anymore. So in short, if it can't hold this level of 68 cents, it's going to drop and probably come into this trading range backtest, and that would be a full 95% loss, which is what all coins like to do. And then it would look like a selling climax, and we can move this over and we would see a blow off top. So as for any relief, I mean, the luckiest you'll get on this is probably this level right here, the 1618, and that's it, lights out. That'd be lucky. So if there's any relief in the altcoin market, it'd probably look something like this. And then it's going to be boom. Just another lower high, but the 1618 is a pretty crucial level to be considerate of. I would be very, very cautious anything over the prior all-time high over here, because that's a key level. We could see it clear as day. This was your first peak. After hitting the blow off, we returned right back to that peak level, then a little bit of relief, then return back to it, back test the top of the golden pocket. You can see that right there on this orange line. That's why I like to color my fibs orange. Then we come up and get rejected, and then look off that rejection. Boom. 70% drop in 7 days. So the key level for this coin is 167. Maybe there's some gematria there. I could quickly look. I don't even know if I'm spelling this shit right. What a weird name. Decentraland. Yeah. Well, yeah, that reverse skull and bones, that 223 right there, which again, skull and crossbones gives you that 223. But we got the 101, which is Yakin and Boaz, the 11. It's a big important number. That 47 this year has been super critical because it's the 15th prime, and 15 comes back to Tiger. We have 70, which ties back into the Shemitah. That's 70. And we also know it's all about the sevens. And then that 2442 connection. Yeah, the 11s are big on this coin. I suppose this will hit $11 in the next cycle just because of the gematria. So 11 is probably where this is going to go. And because of the 11 showing up a couple times, and I don't know what the logo looks like, but that 11 is tied to Saturn as well. Remember L11. The king of, or the supreme god in the Abrahamic religions, of course. And that's a Babylonian god, Babylonian, Canaanite, whatever. It's all the same anyways. It's all sun worship. Okay, let's go to Solana. Got a lot of people asking me about Sol. Whew. God, one of the best calls I've ever made in my life was telling people that the 6 was the end for this coin. I was very adamant about that. I told everyone that anything higher than the 6 would really just be off brand. But seriously, I was very adamant about the 6 spot fib extension being the end for this coin, and that was correct because now we're about, yeah, devastating. And this is just the start. This is going to slide more, probably back to 18. Or into around $13. So I suspect, actually, into the end of 2023, I think Sol will be recovered as we move into a solar cycle. And this is tied to the Bitcoin kind of, yeah. But look at this. I mean, come on now. Another 20,000% gain. I'm sure it even went higher. But this is a very noticeable distributionary top. And this rally right there perfectly up through the 4236 into the 4618. When it backtested the 2618 and went up for one more breath of air, that is very rare for that to happen. But that was a warning sign because you're probably going to see a bearish divergence. Yes, you are. So you could see RSI was at 91 right there. But here at an even higher price, RSI is sitting at 77. This was a gift from the Solana gods to tell you to get the fuck out of this thing. And it gave people some time actually to even backtest the prior trading range. Wow, this gave people so much time. Oh my God, if anyone was in Solana, you had 111 days to evacuate So lucky. For anyone who was in that for a while, like you don't get those opportunities. Sometimes you have straight up blow off tops. This thing like really was generous with people. The same thing with Terra Luna. Terra Luna was really generous at the top, and then it it became people's worst nightmare. So this might have the juice to come back up into the 1618, but that would just be prior support and that would probably get a rejection. So I see this probably maybe even sliding down deeper into the 236, then coming up to the 1618, and then coming down to like $18, $17 again in the future. Excuse me. It's probably going to come to $17. Yeah, probably going to come to $17. Just quick. Yeah, it's going to go to 17. Probably 17 to 13. That's going to be the range. And then you're going to want to probably consider getting this coin. Somebody's talking about the blockchain having problems and all that. Like, yeah, they're going to cause so many issues this year because it's the Shemitah year and they need shit to blame because they want all the retail out of this market. That's one of the best coffees I've ever had in my life. So tasty. People always ask me about coffee. I make one AeroPress a day. It's like 30 grams of coffee. It's like that's the only cup of coffee I drink most of the time, unless I have espresso. And it's really high quality stuff that's bought directly from an actual farm where you know the names of the farmers and you're supporting a farm. So that's how I do coffee. All right, I went over to Decentraland. Quick on Bluezell. I believe I already went over this. Okay, so Bluezell's doing something that I explained a little bit ago when I was talking about breaking lower structure and gravitating back up to support. So you can see right here on this coin Bluezell, the 10 cent area was your support because you had peak, which is buying climax, selling climax, automatic rally. Then now we're in the spring. This is an opportunity, but the problem is when I see quote unquote spring forming before the end of Shemitah, I'm worried. Oh my God, what the fuck? Sorry, I didn't know that this was... Oh, okay. This changes the story. When you see trading ranges like this, it's probably a little better to do log fib, but yeah, automatic, okay, buying climax, selling climax, automatic rally. Now it's coming back to support. It's probably going to go down to 1 cent. So, okay, if this you see this support level right here? If we get rejected at this, it's going to fold down and probably come right back to fill this wick of 4 cents. I don't exactly know the timing of that, but it's just easy to say that it'll probably happen around Shemitah. Now, the hopium is this returning back to the 236 because that was those past two rejections, and that's sort of in line with the prior this whole level back here with the OG support before it entered like a really, oof. This thing lose 99% of its value. Wow, this is fucked. Yeah, 99. I just knew it lost 99%. Okay, so this is one selling point on crypto to never sell. If I'm not telling people not to sell, but if you're caught up in one of these things, right? And it happens all the time. It happened with Strong and Stronger. It happened with Terra Luna. It's going to happen with, I mean, every fucking DAO this happened with. All of the validator node coins this is going to happen with. 95 to 99% losses is normal. We saw XRP lose 96%. We saw ETH lose 95%. So these kind of nonsense coins, you know, they have opportunity to lose quite a lot. And look at the reaction, though, off of 99% losses. I mean, this is a 10,000% gain. So even if you bought the all-time high, there's an evacuation moment for a coin like this. I'm just saying, like, don't get frustrated if you bought and you're in the red, you know, because there's opportunity to de-risk in the future, and you just got to kind of be okay with that. Like I tell people this all the time. If you're making an investment and you can't hold on to it for at least 5 years, then it's not an investment. If you're able to profit before 5 years, then take advantage of that. But if you're at the red on year 2, year 3, that's all good, man. Like that's part of the process. Investing is not trading. It's a much different aspect of finances and, you know, just dealing with markets. It's very hard to time markets. We're one of the few communities out there that has been looking into decoding how to time markets, but still, it's very, very complicated. So I would say that's the play on Bluezell. I mean, at best, Hopium is 22 to 23 cents and then probably folds down back into the 3 cent area, somewhere around this cluster. And if I was to turn this into log, which I need to remember to turn back. So you can see with log, this paints us a different picture, and I don't mind doing this on a coin that's lost 99% of its value. So if I ever see a coin that's lost like 90, almost all of its value from swing high to swing low, or if I have like 10 years of chart history, that is my opportunity to use log fib. So I turn this setting on, but otherwise I don't. So if I'm in logarithmic scale, I'll turn fibs based in log scale for those two instances. And I think this has an opportunity to go back to the 236 during Shemitah. Like by the beginning of January. Like it's possible, man. But once it does this, then like we're probably going to start rebuilding structure over time. And then by the next Bitcoin halving, this thing could come back and finally retest all-time high and break higher. But I wouldn't even touch this coin. This is all going to go to zero probably. If it's not ISO 20022, or if it's not, one of the top protocols that's even brought up in the language of global investors, I wouldn't touch it. It's just me, though. All right. Okay, so Elrond kind of... Yeah. 70,000%. Fuck. Okay, so this is a lesson learned for people. When you have multiple rallies like this, you see this first rally followed by a backup phase, then another rally. You probably shouldn't be anticipating anything above the 1618, but if it does go higher, then awesome. But at that point, you would have been looking at from the C-word crash up to the first peak, you already made 30,000%. Then this was about like a 70%, 80% drawdown followed by an additional move. So this is the end of this bull run for this coin. And getting rejected off these golden pocket levels multiple times and breaking through the 236 followed by a rejection and continuation. This probably needs to come down to around here. I do see this probably losing 98 to 99% of its value just because of the whole run. So if it's going to behave, it'll come down to here, 22. So let's just say probably 23 because we're moving into the 23 year. But we could have wicks where you can see a wick flash down to this level in a day and then get bought back up and then recover. So yeah, this is probably going to go down to 22 at the end of the year. And that would be that would be a pretty hefty, 70% loss, but that'd be a full 95% drawdown. And that's what I love to see. That's good for the market. I don't think Elrond's going to completely, there's a possibility that Elrond could make it through this transition, but it's probably going to come down 52-cent area in any bearish Bitcoin action. And then if it breaks that level, it's going to cascade down to 22 pretty quickly. So it has to hold the 52 level, but so far it's yet to double bottom. It did lose a lot so far though, 86%. It's pretty caught up. It's on average with everything else. Everything else has pretty much lost 80 to 90% of their value. So I'm going to leave it at that. This coin, if Bitcoin has any relief, it's probably going to come into the 382 area, maybe the 0.5 fib. That would be nice. And right there would probably be time to start considering, like de-risking if you're somebody who's been in this horizontal trading range for multiple years. The odds of this breaking any higher, very low. 5% that this makes it back to the 1618. 5% chance. 10% chance that it makes it back up to the 1. It's back to this high. 80% chance it stays below the 210 level. And then anything in this range would just be opportunity to get the hell out because the wicks into this area could happen fast. Like you see this green wick right here, it just slid through the 888 fib, almost back tested the prior high, and then it slid down, and then the lower highs started to become noticeable. So from a TA perspective, if you've been in this coin since down in this fractal and you see any relief into this area, like don't get greedy because you're in for a potential 70% drawdown, and it could even get worse because it's already put on so much gains. So there's time for this coin to give back and reset. So I'm going to leave it at that. I appreciate all of you guys. Lots of information and gems, wisdom shared in today's episode. If you are interested, because you're a Patreon supporter, you do get the best discount on my courses. So the Mastermind course, the Advanced Trading course, and then the Exit Strategy Blueprint is also part of the Mastermind course. But if you wanted that separately, the link will be in the description box of this video. I appreciate all your support. And more importantly, I am grateful for you educating yourself during a time where the masses are distracted. So stay up on your education of the markets if you're planning on being in this cryptocurrency game for the long term, because you guys are early. You're super early comparatively to where most people are. And the fact that you know about the Shemitah and the Jubilee and, all these esoteric principles in the market and these alternative calendars, you have an edge on the market that most people don't. So I support whatever you're in the process of personally, but education in this market, very, very critical for where everyone in humanity is at right now. When they switch into a blockchain quantum type economy, you're already going to know what a hardware wallet is. You're already going to know that the exchanges are problematic. You're going to know all this stuff about stable coins. You are in the know. So while we're in this bearish activity right now, don't get discouraged. Don't get fearful. You want to be the opposite of retail. While retail has left the market and now they're bored and they don't care about crypto, this is a time to get excited and to study the charts and to know how you're going to plan for the end of Shemitah and what is the actions you will take when that time comes. So I hope that helps. I appreciate every single one of you. Have a beautiful rest of your weekend and enjoy the rest of your week. Much love.